Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. We have a lot to discuss, obviously, at the top of the show, the breaking news about Susie Wiles, Donald Trump's chief of staff, gave this interview, actually 11 interviews, separate interviews with Vanity Fair. And Vanity Fair got this incredible access to her and others in the Trump cabinet. They wrote this two-part story. At least two parts have been released thus far. And in the story, Susie Wiles says that if you go back to that first one, she talks about how Donald Trump has the personality of an alcoholic. She says he's all over the Epstein files. She basically refers to J.D. Vance as a phony. She says Bondi really screwed up regarding the Epstein files as well. And additionally, the way she describes the Epstein files, she's like, Donald Trump and Epstein, yes, they're all over the files, but they were young. She goes, they were like young. She goes, this may sound passe, but they were young playboys roaming around town together. And that's just what young playboys do. That's what she said. And she goes, yeah, of course he's all over it. She also said that Bill Clinton is not, has nothing to do with the island. And she said she's seen the files, that Clinton has nothing to do with it. Let me show you how the White House is handling it. Caroline Leavitt moments ago gave a press conference. Let's show you this. And then Cohen, because you know these people, you know how it operates there. I want you to give us the kind of insight in what's going down in the White House. But let's play what Leavitt said. Let's play Machine Gun Lips.
Was working hand in glove with Vanity Fair, and yet here's Susie Wiles' reaction to the series of articles. Quote, the article published early this morning is a disingenuously framed hit piece on me and the finest president, White House staff, and cabinet in history. Significant context was disregarded, and much of what I and others said about the team and the president was left out of the story. I assume after reading it that this was done to paint an overwhelmingly chaotic and negative narrative about the president and our team. She goes on after that. You can read the full thing on X, but what happened? What went wrong?
Well, look, I would just echo my boss, Susie Wiles, who is the best chief of staff in our nation's history, working for the greatest president in our nation's history, and that this was, unfortunately, another attempt at fake news by a reporter who was acting disingenuously and really did take the chief's words out of context. But I think most importantly, the bias of omission was ever present throughout this story. The reporter omitted all of the positive things that Susie and our team said about the president and the inner workings of the White House. And as Susie said today, it's deeply unfortunate that happened, but it won't distract us from making America great again.
Yeah. Is there anybody that's with us right now that's not sort of laughing at the level of stupidity emanating from that gaping anus under Machine Gun Lips' nose? Let me be crystal clear about something. First of all, Trump is furious, okay? He's furious because, one, she compared him to like a raging alcoholic. She referred to Elon Musk as like a ketamine addict or something like that. She referred to something negative about everybody on the inside. But here's the reason why Trump is so angry about it, because it's all true. And in order for him to turn around and to say, this is a hit piece, that this is stupid, this is a lie, it would be like me turning around and saying, Ben, that I'm 7'2". You would say, no, you're not. And I would say, yes, I am. I would stand up next to you. You'd say, okay, maybe you're a few inches taller than me, but you're not 7'2". And then I say, yes, well, it's stupid and it's not something that you can't argue. Well, in this specific case, he knows exactly what was said happens to be accurate. And yes, as Teresa just said, because she took the words right out of my mouth, the truth hurts. Let's not be shocked, not for a moment, if in fact they're already trying to figure out who will be Susie Wiles' replacement, because this is exactly the same level of stupidity and ignorance, all right, and nonsense that took place during the first administration when Jared Kushner brought in Woodward in order to interview Trump, and he did it like 5-6 times. The fact that you don't like what a journalist is writing about you, well, then don't do the interview, right? I mean, that's just the way that it goes. It's one thing if this journalist had not interviewed anybody, had not sat with Susie Wiles for 11 different occasions in order to get this information. And rest assured that these are all recorded. And as soon as Trump is going to turn around and threaten Vanity Fair, who he doesn't like anyway, he will turn around and regret that, because again, he's asking her right now, and if he hasn't, let me put it into his mind. Susie was with the interviews recorded by the journalist, and when she says yes, then rest assured there's going to be no lawsuit, and they will allow it to dissipate until such time as the next sort of article comes out.
Referring to Donald Trump as an alcoholic, or having the personality of an alcoholic, rather, based on Trump's background, that's one of the kind of worst things in his mind, right? That you can call him, given his views about, or at least his purported views about, like, for you to compare him to basically like a drunk. Talk to us about that, Cohen, because of the family. And
so, look, and again, I was by Trump's side for almost a decade and a half. I've seen him hold a glass of red wine. I've seen him hold a glass of champagne. While he would put it up to his lips, he never drank it. It was just sort of the look, so that people didn't think it odd. He would then put it down on a table and then very nonchalantly mosey away from it. He's not an alcoholic. He doesn't drink. He lost his brother, Fred, to alcoholism. He actually despises those people who behave like that, who are alcoholics. He has no patience. He has no empathy for them, very much like what we've seen in other scenarios. So the fact that you can call him something that he truly despises, that's a problem.
And she said, his personality is that, likely also referring to hitting rock bottom, engaging in erratic behavior that has severe consequences that don't seem to be thought through. I mean, but it makes it worse in many ways. That this. I don't know if it makes it worse, but that this is actually who he is, right? And we covered it a lot yesterday, but I always like to hear your perspective on these issues, and let the public hear your perspective on these issues. But this brutal murder of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, the suspect being their son, suffered from drug addiction, an incredibly tragic, the most tragic situation really fathomable. And within hours of that happening, Donald Trump first does a social media post attacking Reiner, and then Donald Trump gives a press conference where he says horrific things. And I think we have...
Ben, I got to tell you, when I saw it, and I'm dying to get your take, and in fact, if I could, other than this idiot Lee McGrath that's trying to troll us here, what I would really like to do is ask people in your mind. Well, we call out fucking idiots. All right. So here's the thing. I would love for each and every one of you to be able to share. What were you thinking when you actually saw, whether it was for the first time or second time or wherever you saw it, that post by President Trump regarding Rob Reiner? This one, a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. I mean, I'm dying to know, Ben, when you saw this, what was the first thing you thought?
it's an unfortunate thought because the answer is always the same. Like, this is AI, this isn't real. Like, this can't be. What is this? Is this real? Was my first thought, but then it quickly realized, yes, this is who he. And I still get upset that sometimes my initial reaction to it is to be skeptical. That how could a human being post this? But that was my initial reaction. Cohen, was I thought that there from time to time people share with me those things that look like they're Trump posts, but they're like a somewhat different font. And you're like, okay, you don't need to be sharing that one because the stuff that he says is even worse than some of the fake stuff that's put out there. But that's what I thought. And then my next thought is kind of just, I view this not from a political lens. And as you know, I didn't get involved in this to be like, oh, like, let's go donkey team, let's go Democrat team. Like that's right. Not like really what excites me. Ultimately my values align more with one party than the other, but I lead with values versus rooting for specific parties. But I'm transparent that my values and principles align more closely with one political party. But my view about this stuff is just, I just don't understand, or I do understand actually, just the way that people can read this and that a portion of the population still.
So Ben, I had not heard that Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle had passed. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh man, people are fucked up, right? This AI, these fake posts and so on. There are posts about me that I committed suicide. And it was terrible. It was actually one of my children that saw it and alerted me to it. So my first reaction was I Googled Rob Reiner, and fucking it turned around and it said that right now outside of his home there in which area? He's by where about a block away from where OJ was in Brentwood. In Brentwood, that the police are there right now on scene for a double homicide. And I was like, oh my God, right? So then I went ahead and I looked at the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, NBC or NBC, ABC, CNN, and lo and behold, all of a sudden I start finding articles that have Trump's post attached to it. And then I felt physically ill. I was saying to myself, you cannot have really put this. I was almost like if I was talking to him through the air. You really did not do this. You really could not have thought, or anybody around you could not have thought that this would be a good idea to put out while two people lay deceased on the floors in their home from a homicide, that this is the right thing to do. First of all, you're wrong. He was not killed by some deranged individual that he got all riled up.
The notable thing, though, Cohen, is that Trump didn't say a deranged individual did it. Trump almost insinuated that this was the natural consequence of criticizing Trump.
That was the point I was going to make, right? That, this Trump derangement syndrome is not necessarily against the perpetrator, but it lies in the hands of the victim as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And, there are so many moments, though, in a day that make you, question basic humanity. I'll just give you another example. I'll give you two examples just in the past 24 hours. With the school shooting that took place at Brown University. And by the way, Brown University was one of those schools that made the deal with Donald Trump for him to basically influence their curriculum. And then Donald Trump attacks Brown University. And he says that, even though Donald Trump was one of the first people spreading the lies and disinformation, frankly, after Brown University put out a statement that the suspect was not in custody, Donald Trump put out a statement that he was briefed and said the suspect is in custody. And then Donald Trump's FBI handed over to Providence the wrong guy. They said, we've got the suspect based on our FBI stuff, and they gave the wrong guy. And that guy's information made it to the public. That guy's life has basically been ruined as well because all of his info is out there. I mean, obviously, people know he didn't do it now. And the real killer, the shooter, or the terrorist, is out there. And Donald Trump, when he was asked about it at a press conference, says, you know, I don't really know much about it. That's not an FBI thing. That's not us. That's the school. They'll deal with it. That's your response as the president of the United States.
It's very funny because normally what he does is he automatically contacts the National Guard, right, and sends them out there. I mean, he's certainly doing that because people were protesting in front of a building, which, of course, that has nothing to do with them either. So here, all of a sudden, it's now up to the school to figure it out. Yet you have Kesh Patel or others advising him incorrectly, which when the president of the United States says something, whether you like him or not, words matter.
And that's the thing that with him, though, words, a deal, they don't matter. They're a tool for Trump to keep power and to deceive. Like that's a sad state for this country. And we talk later in the show about what's going on in Europe and how they're viewing the United States, how the main security intelligence agencies, MI6 in the UK, in France, and others, how the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is treating the United States now, openly treating the U.S. as a hostile enemy force that's allied with Putin. That's where we are right now as we reach the end of this year.
And Europe has walked away. Europe has not only walked away from us in terms of sharing of intelligence, which puts each and every one of us in harm's way. You know, there's only so much information that can be gathered from our NSA. We work in concert with our allies, which is why NATO, which is why keeping our allies is so important. Do you really think for a second anybody that Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, Erdogan, or any of these monarchy dictatorships, our adversaries are actually going to share with us legitimate intel in order to make the world better? Instead, we've now literally shit on our allies. We've embraced our adversaries. Europe is saying this is out of control. We're walking away. We're going to be the ones that will work with Zelensky and Ukraine to assure that Russian threat no longer progresses and continues. And then on top of that, to make matters look worse, to make us look even more pathetic, if we could, as a country, they decide that they're going to have Zelensky in Berlin. And they're going to engage him. Europe is going to engage with Zelensky about providing armaments and financing and assistance any way that they possibly can. And Trump, this administration, not wanting to look like they are no longer involved in these, I don't even want to call it these peace conversations, right? These sort of, I don't know, Ben, what would you call it? These hoaxes, these charades, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a charade. Yeah, I mean, it is performance theater that is being referred to as peace discussions when the end game is the United States is working with Russia to get Ukraine to surrender.
But then my point is, so now what does Trump do? He ships off Witkoff and Kushner to immediately run to Berlin so that we could now be a part of these discussions. So in that way, if hypothetically something comes out of it, which of course you know that it can't, especially if you listen to like Lavrov and Kasparov and all of, if you listen to all of them, you know that's not possible. But if in fact that it is, why is it that Trump sent Witkoff and Kushner over there to Berlin? So of course he can take credit for it. It's
Yeah.
yet another win for him. It's now the 9th war that he has stopped, including one that he says will be the basis for World War III.
It's an important point, though, as you say, that could be the basis of World War III. But yes, you had Yuri Yushakov saying, and he's one of the top foreign ministers in Russia, the only deal they'll accept is surrender of Ukraine. We want all of Eastern Ukraine, and Ukraine can't join the EU and can't join NATO. That's what Yushakov says. You have Dmitriev, Kirill Dmitriev, saying the same thing. You have the Russia ambassador to the UK saying the same thing. You have Putin saying the same thing. You have Lavrov saying the same thing. So Russia's made their point. They're saying it publicly. You know, I do these videos in the morning where I translate what they're saying. And I said, just listen to what they're saying. So
What, do you speak Russian?
I don't, but
No,
but we translate it. I do not speak Russian.
I do.
And then
Did you know that? I do.
Like you're fluent in Russian?
No, not fluent, but I'm
like you could have a pretty good conversation with someone in Russian.
No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you have that. But now what you're seeing happen is in Europe, these European leaders are now using apocalyptic language of World War III as well. Because for them, obviously, nothing else is working with Trump. So what they're making it clear, and it's the reality, not just a negotiating framework, that they are saying in their countries. We've had the leader of MI6, first female leader, by the way, in the UK, the C. We did a video on her this morning. That's what they call the leader of MI6. You have these intelligence agencies and leaders in other European countries. And they're all saying, prepare your sons and daughters for a world war. This is what they're saying in Europe. Prepare them for a world war because one's going to start very soon. And that message is being sent also back. And it's ratcheted up in the past week also. And why? Because Donald Trump has given Ukraine the Russian ultimatum of you need to give all of Donbass, Ukraine, to Putin. Basically carve out most of Eastern Ukraine that Russia has not been able to take over and give it to Putin. And that's it. And then we have a deal.
Well, there's more to that deal, right? All the rare earth mineral rights. Yeah. They want obviously the oil that's there in the Donbass. They want it all. Yeah. They want everything. That 20-point plan is not a peace plan. It is a surrender declaration.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have that taking place right now, you know, as well. You have Europe ratcheting it up, but we got here in a circuitous way. One of the things I wanted to go hit on is like we want serious people in serious jobs, right? And we knew that someone like Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth were just not serious human beings, not qualified human beings. They didn't have the moral character to hold these positions, setting aside your politics or your views. And now we're seeing it play out. Like I'll just show you. Kash Patel has been using the private jet paid for by taxpayers, travel around with his young girlfriend and her friends. And while
using our FBI, our secrets, using them like Uber drivers, right? I mean, talk about this.
Kash, you're so funny, Kash. Look at how like you can imagine. Oh my God, he's got the FBI. You know, just think of and Kash is like, yeah, you know, this is what we do, yeah, alpha man. You know, just stupid. But this is what Kash was. This is what Kash was doing yesterday when there's all of these issues that the FBI is dealing with. This is what Kash was doing. Let's play it.
We are so excited to be joined by Kash and his beautiful girlfriend, Alexis. So I just want to clarify, you're not Jewish.
I'm not.
You're not from Israel.
No.
So how did we get to, are you a Mossad agent?
You know, that's a great question.
Where's her ring? Just to clarify, how often has he traveled to see you since January 20th? Has there been one moment where you're like, you can't make this up?
You know, I've seen a lot of even like former right-wing people, former people who supported Trump out there even saying now, how did we get into this timeline? Like, how?
Right.
What the hell is that? Like, seriously, what the hell is that? I mean, every aspect of it. You have Stephen Miller's wife, as Stephen Miller has this operation with ICE and Border Patrol torturing people, rounding people up. You have his wife hosting a podcast with the FBI director and the FBI director's young girlfriend who's traveling around on the taxpayer dime, and they're like mocking us. So that's that. Then you have Hegseth. Let's talk about what Hegseth said this morning. Let's play that clip of Hegseth.
Also going to tomorrow allow the HASC and SASC to see the unedited video of the September 2nd, alongside with Admiral Bradley, who has done a fantastic job, has made all the right calls, and we're glad he'll be there to do it. But in keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course, we're not going to release a top secret, full unedited video of that to the general public. HASC and SASC and appropriate committees will see it, but not the general public.
Just think
Right,
about
so
it.
so this is the greatest. We're going to show you, the American public, we're going to show you our incredible laser-guided drones and missiles blowing up a 20-foot aluminum vessel with twin outboard, but we're not going to show you thereafter because that becomes top secret. Can you tell me, Ben, how it, and when I saw Hegseth make this comment, all I kept saying is, why didn't anybody ask him? Can you tell us why is it under now seal as being top secret or classified? What's the basis for it? So the first strike, well, that's okay. That everybody can see. In fact,
That's not classified. The first strike with the killing, not classified.
Strike is not
classified.
But the double dip, that second strike,
Classified.
that's classified.
I'm
just waiting for somebody to explain to me, because sometimes when I listen to these guys, I feel very stupid because I can't figure out what is it that I'm missing.
Or, which is rhetorical, you are feeling the stupidity radiating from them and the corruption radiating from them. And again, when I try to frame this network around values, principles, truth, objectivity, I look at that and just say that's indefensible, right? What Pete Hegseth is saying there. Not only did Donald Trump previously say that he would release the second strike, but he said it publicly. Then Trump changed his position and said whatever Hegseth says. And then, by the way, yesterday, Hegseth released another video of 8 more people murdered by us. And I say us because it's being done in the name of the United States. He showed that video, not classified, apparently.
3 of them.
Not classified. And then now he's saying, we're not showing you this. So just everything with this regime, from Trump's medical records and MRI to the Epstein files to this video of the double tap killing, everything is a cover-up. And the American people are sick and tired of it. American people are sick and tired. If the economy were doing well, the Americans would be sick and tired of these antics, okay? But the economy is not doing well. When we get back, what we need to talk about is what we saw this morning. Unemployment ticked up to 4.6%. We've basically had zero job growth since April. Zero job growth since April. The only sectors that are propping up jobs at this point, healthcare and education, the 2 areas under attack from the Trump regime, are the only areas that are creating jobs. But if you look at professional, financial, information, transportation, manufacturing, wholesale, mining and logging, of course, government jobs, all seeing sharp declines. Manufacturing jobs decline negative over this period of time. Negative. And that's Trump's whole pitch too. Versus former President Biden, There was objectively, there just was a manufacturing boom taking place, and there were 16 million jobs that were created under former President Biden. Those are just facts. We'll talk about this and more when we come back from our first break. But, Trump and the regime tried to sell us that this is the golden age. This is great, that everybody's thriving, everyone's doing amazing. And we know that's not the case. And I'll just show this before we go to break. And this is J.D. Vance in Allentown being asked, is this an A+++ economy? And let's just show you what J.D. Vance said. Let's play the clip.
President Trump last week gave his economy a grade of A++++. What grade would you give the economy today?
A+++.
Yeah, we'll take our only quick break of the show. Dissect that and more. A reminder, subscribe on audio to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. Just go search Mea Culpa. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. Just search Michael Cohen on Substack and check that out. Subscribe to the Political Beatdown audio as well. Subscribe to the Midas Touch YouTube channel. And subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. YouTube channel. Substack. That YouTube channel is doing great. I think I said the Substack, Michael Cohen Substack. Let's take our first and only quick break of the show.
Boom. You ever try launching a podcast with zero experience? Well, let me tell you something. It's like being tossed into a cage match with a grizzly bear, blindfolded, wearing clown shoes. Because when I started Political Beatdown with Ben, I thought, come on, man, how hard can this be? Script writing, logos, production schedules, ad deals, and don't even get me started on the tech setup. I mean, I feel like I was decoding a damn matrix. Now, if only I had Shopify when I launched this beast. Shopify is the platform behind millions of businesses across the globe, responsible for a whopping 10%. You hear that? 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. And my friends, that's not hype. That's fact. From big names like Mattel and Gymshark to folks just getting their hustle off the ground, Shopify's got their back. I mean, you want a gorgeous online store? Shopify's got hundreds of sleek, ready-to-go templates that make you look like a design god. AI tools? Yeah, they've got those too. Writing your podcast descriptions, jazzing up your images, maybe even making you sound smarter than you are. I mean, not naming names. And you need a marketing squad? Shopify's built-in tools let you hit email, Instagram, TikTok, wherever your customers are scrolling or doom scrolling. And listen, Shopify handles it all. Inventory, returns, international shipping. I mean, they are the ride or die business partner that you never knew you needed. So if you got a big idea or even a little one and you're ready to turn that dream into a reality, head over to shopify.com/beat. That's shopify.com/beat to start your $1 per month trial today. That's Shopify, shopify.com/beat.
Welcome to Political Beatdown. Let's play that clip that we showed right before the break one more time of J.D. Vance saying A++++ about the economy. Let's play it.
President Trump last week gave his economy a grade of A++++. What grade would you give the economy today?
A+++.
Now, Cohen,
he missed one plus.
He didn't miss one plus, so that's actually means F. That's the laws of my mathematics. It's like a 1,700% decrease. So Cohen, let's talk about this though. He's in Allentown. Okay. He's in an area that is actually hurting. Should be notable. It wasn't a big crowd, but he got people to show up, probably forced to be there at this point. And they were applauding him. While we know that
how big was the audience, if you don't mind me asking?
It was not. I mean, from I don't want to misstate the number, but it was close in the hundreds, not the thousands. You know, it looked like it was under 200.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the whole thing. You can find 200 fucked up people anywhere, right? I mean, just imagine, you know, they go into Allentown and somebody wants to be there for whatever the reason may be. I don't get it. And they're willing to go ahead, which is the scary part that each and every one of us, it's why I constantly say that this network and the various people that contribute to it. It's why we ask you all the time to help continue to grow this community, because when you have communities like Allentown, Pennsylvania, right, where they are hurting, they've been hurting for a while now, but now they're really hurting based upon, that fake word, that hoax word, that Democratic hoax word, affordability, and they're still out there applauding a couch fucker. Seriously, a guy seriously, who follows a guy who took his love chair, his armchair, right, to prom? Let's get serious for a second. They're cheering on what? ICE? On the inhumanity of rounding people up, separating children. They're applauding all of the callous nonsense, including the fact that many of them are losing their benefits like SNAPs or health care and so on. But this is who you're going to turn around and now attack Somalia simply because you don't like Ilhan Omar? Great. I don't like her either, but what does that have to do with Somalia? You're going to turn around and now tell people who may be your neighbors that they're not welcome here in this country, despite the fact they've been living here for 30, 40, 50 years. How about you're going to turn around and disrespect your military as they do every single day? No. But yet there's still a group of idiots that are willing to go there like a bunch of fucking seals and bounce their hands back and forth, hoot and holler, and so on. The question that you have to ask yourself is, why would they do this? And the fact that we know that they are there is the reason why I ask every single one of you, help Midas Touch Network, help me, help all of us to grow this community with almost 6 million subscribers. Imagine if each and every one of the subscribers brought just one person. You realize that it dwarfs papers like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. It literally makes the voice magnified to the extent that when you have idiots like this in Allentown, you know how fast it would be for us to mobilize a counter-strike against everything that's happening? Because these midterms, as great as we are doing right now, and rest assured, basically every single special election so far held has actually gone to the Democrats. So while we have the momentum, this is not the time for us to take a step back. It's not. Now's the time for us to literally floor it, right? Push the pedal to the metal, and let's just keep moving with the same vigor and enthusiasm and anger that at least the anger I have.
This will make you angry then.
Oh,
J.D.
great.
Vance, in that same Allentown speech, this is what he had to say about affordability. He goes, I hear the Democrats talk about this as if they're going to fix this on day one. No one can fix these issues on day one. Here's what J.D. Vance says. Let's play.
I hear these guys, I hear these Democrats talk about this as if you were going to fix these problems in a single day. It reminds me of probably the third day in the Oval Office where eggs had gotten so expensive under the Biden administration.
No, Cohen. First off, it's not day one right now.
By the way, it's also, they have two talking points, Ben. They literally have two talking points. It's eggs and gasoline. By the way, they're not wrong. That's all you got. Gasoline prices, 100%. Everybody here will acknowledge that gasoline prices are lower, whether it's 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents than they were a year ago. It's just factually accurate. But the eggs had nothing to do with J.D. Vance, nothing to do with Trump, nothing to do with this administration. During the Biden administration, there was a bird flu, and they had to literally destroy 17 plus million egg-laying chickens. Okay, now you have to replenish that lost amount, which is what's happening, meaning more eggs, more to the market, right? The demand stays the same, price goes down. That's just an economic principle.
Yeah, no, first of all, accurate. Okay. Although the Trump regime says they brought gas below $2 a gallon. And while it's lower right now, it's not at like historical lows. And the fact that gas prices are down is certainly not slightly down, not like wow, slightly down. which we can acknowledge, but it's not below $2. And that's not offsetting the massive rise in electricity prices and energy prices at home. So, okay, on the one hand, you've had gas prices drop 7 cents a gallon, which is every cent matters. So I don't want to be like, whatever. That matters. It adds up. Go look at your electricity bill at home, because that's increased massively, and that's going to continue to increase massively. Why? Because of the data centers that are being built. The AI, the crypto is draining the energy, and the corporate greed of these electricity companies that are charging more money. All of that together. So we're in an environment right now where inflation overall is significantly higher. But I want to bring it back to a more simplistic level, though, than getting in the weeds. Because when you get in the weeds, sometimes it's important to, and we're very detailed oriented here, but sometimes you pull back and go, wait a minute. So J.D. Vance is saying, right, essentially it would be total fraud for anybody to say that they would start lowering prices on day one. That was his point in Allentown. Okay, what did Donald Trump run his campaign on? He ran his campaign on day one. Day one, I will bring down the prices. Now, former Vice President Kamala Harris said, well, actually, if we give a $25,000 tap, but you lost me. You lost a lot of the, she's laying out a plan that would work, that would make housing more affordable by targeting people who cannot otherwise afford homes to get homes. But by the time you've explained that, it was easier to just say what Donald Trump just said. Here, play this clip.
So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. We will end Kamala's war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill.
Okay, and now
drill, baby, drill. As if that's the answer to everything. Just drill, baby.
But that's where you say it a lot on these shows. This network and other independent media in general, though, we didn't have the size and scope of platforms that we have now to get out the truth. And we're going to be using it responsibly. And frankly, I think in a rather apolitical fashion, because I mostly talk about facts more than anything, on the show. Occasionally I'll give you an opinion, but by and large, it's grounded in facts. But when you see that and you say, here was the promise that he made. Now, that segment, what you saw right there, Cohen, what he said, that's what made it onto every local broadcast leading up to the election.
Yep.
They didn't cover when he'd be out there going boing, 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 or when he would be doing blowjobs to the microphones, and when he would be out there saying mass deportation, or when he would be talking about golfers' penises, and when he would be, he's got a big penis, everybody. And I'd be covering, and I'd be like, why is he talking about Arnold Palmer's penis, like in a speech? And like, no one thinks that that's like an odd thing for them to cover. When he would talk about the mass deportations, when he would use language that looked like the type of language that Hitler used. And you'd say, that's kind of similar. I mean, the language right there, this is some dangerous stuff. When he would use the Project 2025 talking points, what would the media do? Two things. One, they would show the clip. When I win, I will immediately bring down the prices on day one.
Boom.
That's it.
And then stop.
And then they would say, on the other hand, former President Biden is getting hammered in the economy today. That would be the package that all local media would blast. And I would say, I don't know, how did he not cover the other stuff right there? And then when it came to the Project 2025 stuff, what would they show? Donald Trump denies any knowledge of Project 2025. Then you would do a story on it, like Midas Touch would do a story on it. And others would say, look, Project 2025, this is their plan. What would they do? You would get a fact check, and those fact checkers that people rely on for a lot of stuff too. The Snopes of the world, or Snoops, or whatever it's called, and the network fact checkers, what would they say? They would say Midas Touch is lying. And by the way, then that stuff like makes it to your Wikipedia page. like you're not telling accurate stuff. And it's like, Midas Touch has been fact-checked. We were saying the accurate things. We were given the warning. And now you're out there saying that we're liars. You know, they ran, I remember, you know, and Snopes has done a few fact checks, or Snoops has done a few fact checks on it. There was one where we were like, Marjorie Taylor Greene was not applauding when Zelensky was giving the speech because she doesn't support Ukraine. And we would get a fact check on it, and they would say she actually touched her palms and it resembled an applause. We're like, first off, that's not a clap. That's not the way a clap works. Second, our point wasn't the clap.
It is when you're a walrus, by the way.
Our point was that the MAGA Republicans are going to throw Ukraine under the bus. There was one we did where we said basically Rubio is supportive of these insurrectionists. But then they would say, well, Rubio actually said that he does not support what happened on January 6th. Like, but look at his behavior about what he did before and how he cheered on the buses that were trying to like derail Biden's bus tour. Like, look at their behavior. Look at what their acts are. So the broader point is that we now have to be louder. More people watch this network than ever before. We have to be responsible in our coverage. But enough of like saying, here's what they said. Trump said. He's a liar. He's a fraud. That's just who he is. Cohen, two-finger salute. Who do you want to give it to?
You know, it's a tough one because so many people deserve it. Obviously, Pete Hegseth for the ongoing continuous lying, for these attacks on these vessels, the fact that they're gaslighting American, obviously Shady Vance for his ongoing continuous lies during these. I don't even know why you would call them a rally, considering what the hell are they rallying about? You know, Trump's not running, and J.D. Vance has zero chance without him for anything, including dog catcher. Then, of course, you have Machine Gun Lips Levitt, you know, with her daily lies and the obnoxious behavior that they take. Then you have Hassett, who sits up there like Smiling Bob, you know, the erectile dysfunction commercial guy with the smile like, people are really suffering. They're not going to be able to eat in a couple of days, but, you know, it's good. We're doing great thanks to our incredible president. And then you have Bessent, who sits there, you know, and honestly, everything that this group that they think about Bessent and others, you know, who are part of his community, he still is knee deep with them in the lies. And so, I mean, I can go on with each and every one. So, you know what? I think the only fair thing to do is there's not one who's a bigger piece of shit today than the other. It is the organized dismantling of our norms. The fact that we can even have people that are surrounding Trump, including the president, who would put out something as vile as that email, right? And then talk about it, and all these fucking assholes that are on Fox, that and OAN and whatever, that keep promoting this sort of behavior that if it was your kid, you would, I mean, this kid would be locked up inside his room for a year until he learned how to behave and show some manners. So to all of them, to all of these people that are participating in the dismantling of the norms, fuck you all. We've all had enough. And by the way, be forewarned right now from Michael and Ben. Be fucking forewarned that 2026 is coming with a major fucking vengeance. And when we do, and when we all step up, and when we end up changing the House, and God willing, the Senate as well, that's when they're going to understand the fucking term accountability. And rest assured, that term is no Democratic hoax.
Well said. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack, just on Substack. Search Michael Cohen. You can search ours as well, Midas Touch. We try to feature Cohen Substacks as well, but subscribe to Cohen Substack. Subscribe to his YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe there. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. Just search Mea Culpa wherever you get your audio podcasts, and we'll keep grinding away here on Political Beatdown and on the Midas Touch Network each and every day. We appreciate you all. We're grateful for all the hard work that you do every day fighting for our democracy. So from the bottom of our heart, thank you. You are the real heroes in this. You've held the line. You've really held the line during really difficult times. So thank you so much. All right. We'll see you next time. Shout out to the Beatdown Brigaders and shout out Midas Mighty.